Hello everyone, in today's session we are going to discuss reading comprehension. This is exercise passage 9. Let's begin. First of all, the index, exercise question based on passage 9 along with answers and explanations and summary as well. The disclaimer is the images used in our slide deck are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners of these images. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this deck and have any concern or issues, please contact us at sathee@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the images. Let's read the directions. Read the following passage carefully and answer the given questions. Certain word phrases are given in bold in the passages to help you locate them while answering some of the questions. Questions are to be answered on the basis of the information provided in the passage. You are not expected to rely on outside knowledge of a particular topic. Your own views or opinions may sometimes conflict with the views expressed or the information provided in the passage. Be sure that you work within the context of the passage. You should not expect to agree with everything you encounter in reading passages. You should analyze the passage carefully before answering the accompanying questions. Look for clues that will help you understand less explicit aspects of the passage. Try to separate main ideas from supporting ideas or evidence. Note transitions from one idea to the next and examine the relationships among the different ideas or parts of the passage. For example, are they contrasting? Are they complementary? Consider the points the author made, the conclusion drawn, and how and why those points are made or conclusions are drawn. Read each question carefully and be certain that you understand exactly what is being asked. Always read all the answer choices before selecting the best answer. The best answer is the one that accurately and completely answers the question being posed. Be careful not to pick an answer choice simply because it is a true statement. Be careful also not to be misled by answer choices that are only partially true or only partially satisfy the problem posed in the question. The methodology of eliminating wrong answers also work here. It simply means that if you are unable to judge the right choice or right answer, cross the answers that are incorrect. In this way, if there remains one answer to be crossed, that will be the correct answer. I hope you understood. The question is, and the passage is, many people believe that science and religion are contrary to each other. But this notion is wrong. As a matter of fact, both are complementary to each other. The aim of both these institutions is to explain different aspects of life, universe and human existence. There is no doubt that the methods of science and religion are different. The method of science is observation, experimentation, and experience. Science takes its recourse to progressive march towards perfection. The rules of religion are faith, intuition, and spoken word to the enlightened in general. While science is inclined towards reason and rationality, spiritualism is the essence of religion. In earlier times, when man appeared on earth, he was overawed at the sight of violent and powerful aspects of nature. In certain cases, the usefulness of different natural objects of nature overwhelmed man. Thus began the worship of forces of nature fire. Thus the sun, the rivers, the rocks, the trees, the snakes, etc. The holy scriptures were written by those who had developed harmony between external nature and the inner self. Their object was to ennoble, elevate, and liberate the human spirit and mind. But the priestly class took upon itself the monopoly of scriptural knowledge and interpretation to its own advantage. Thus, the entire human race was in chains. Truth was floated and progressive. Liberal and truthful ideas or ideas expressing doubt and skepticism were suppressed and their holders punished. It was in these trying circumstances that science emerged as a savior of mankind, but its path was not smooth and safe. The scientists and freethinkers were tortured. This was the fate of Copernicus, Galileo, Bruno, and others, but by and by science gained ground. I hope you've understood the passage. Let's move to the questions. Which of the following statement is true in the context of the passage? Options are science and religion are antagonistic to each other. Science encourages worshipping of nature. Religion is essential for external peace and harmony. Regimental religion was replaced by scientific principles. Science is essential for inner peace of mind. I hope you've understood the options and you have 10 seconds to answer. I hope you have done so. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 4. Regimental religion was replaced by scientific principles. And the explanation is in the passage, it is implied that traditional or dogmatic forms of religion, which often suppressed truth and progressive ideas, were challenged by the emergence of science. Science is described as a savior of mankind that gained ground despite facing significant opposition. This suggests that the rigid structures of organized religion were gradually supplanted by the principle of scientific inquiry or rationality. Thus, option 4 is the only true statement in the context of the passage. Let's move to the next question. The next question is why is it said in the passage that science emerged as a savior of mankind? Options are many great thinkers contributed to the progress of science. Science takes recourse to progressive march towards perfection. Science is inclined towards reason and rationality. Man was bound in chains by religious orthodoxy. The free thinkers and enlightened men were tortured. You have 10 seconds to answer. I hope you've done so. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 4. Man was bound in chains by religious orthodoxy. And the explanation is in the passage. It is stated that truth was floated and progressive ideas were suppressed by the priestly class, which kept the entire human race in chains. This situation created a need for an alternative approach to understanding the world, leading to the emergence of science as a savior of mankind. Science offered a way to escape the constraints imposed by rigid religious doctrines and allowed for free thought and inquiry. Thus, option 4 is the most relevant answer based on the passage. I hope you've understood. The next question is why does man worship the force of nature? Options are the Holy Scriptures advocate the worship of forces of nature. The worship elevates and liberates the human spirit and mind. The worship makes man believe in faith and intuition. Force of nature reach us spiritualism and none of the above. You have 10 seconds to answer. I hope you've chosen the right one. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 2. The worship elevates and liberates the human spirit and mind. And the explanation is in the passage. It is stated that the early worship of natural forces arose from man's awe of nature and its powerful aspects. The Holy Scriptures, written by those who found harmony between nature and their inner selves, aim to ennoble, elevate, and liberate the human spirit and mind. This suggests that the worship of nature was not merely a practice but served a greater purpose of uplifting individuals' spirituality and mentally. Therefore, option 2 is the most accurate choice. The next question is choose the word which is the most opposite in meaning of the word enlightened as used in the passage. Options are uninformed, derogatory, downtrodden, educated, and authority. You have 10 seconds to answer. I hope you have understood. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 1. Uninformed. And the explanation is in the passage the term enlightened refers to those who possesses knowledge, awareness, and understanding, especially in a spiritual or intellectual context. Enlightenment implies a state of being informed and having insight. Thus, uninformed is the best opposite because it indicates a lack of knowledge or awareness, directly contrasting the meaning of enlightened. The next question is choose the word which is most nearly the same in meaning as the word floated as used in the passage. Options are mocked, nourished, expressed, deflated, and concealed. You have 10 seconds to answer. I hope you've chosen the right one. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 1 mocked, and the explanation is in the passage floated means to openly disregard or show contempt for something, especially in the context of truth and progressive ideas. Mocked aligns closely with this meaning, as it implies a lack of respect or derision towards something. The option for deflated typically refers to reducing air from something or diminishing someone's confidence, but does not convey the same meaning as floated. Thus, the most appropriate choice for the synonym of floated in this context remains 1, which is mocked. I hope you have understood. The next question is which of the following statement is not true in the context of the passage? Options are man worships the forces of nature. Methods of science and religion are different. Regimental religion not degenerated into orthodoxy. Options are man worships the forces of nature, methods of science and religion are different. Regimental religion got degenerated into orthodoxy. Galileo and Bruno were disciples of Copernicus. The Holy Scripture were written by people who had tremendous inner strength. Options are given below. Man worships the forces of nature. The second one, methods of science and religion are different. The third one is regimental religion got degenerated into orthodoxy. Options are given below. Man worships the forces of nature. Methods of science and religion are different. Regimental religion got degenerated into orthodoxy. Galileo and Bruno were disciples of Copernicus. The Holy Scripture were written by people who had tremendous inner strength. I hope you've understood the options and you have 10 seconds to answer. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 4. Galileo and Brunner were disciples of Copernicus. And the explanation is this statement is not true in the context of the passage. While Copernicus, Galileo, and Bruno are all significant figures in the history of science, the passage does not explicitly state that Galileo and Bruno were disciples of Copernicus. Instead, it mentions their fates in the context of the struggles against the oppressive forces of religious orthodoxy. Each of these figures had their own contributions and ideas that challenged the prevailing views of their time. But the passage does not suggest a direct mentor-mentee relationship. Thus, option 4 is the only statement that is not true in the context of the passage. According to the passage, at the present juncture, there is a need to. Options are encourage spiritualism as much as possible, teach people to worship the force of nature, free man from all sorts of bondages, explain to the people different aspects of life and universe, judiciously mix the principles of science and true spirit of religion. I hope you have understood and you have 10 seconds to answer. I hope you've chosen the right one. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 4. Judiciously mix the principles of science and true spirit of religion. And the explanation is in the passage, the author emphasizes that the science and religion, while different in their methods, should be seen as complementary rather than contradictory. The call to cultivate and strengthen our understanding of both science and the spiritual essence of religion suggests a need for a balanced approach that incorporates the rationality of science with the spiritual insight of religion. Thus, option 5 captures the essence of passages call for harmonious blending of science and the true spirit of religion. According to the passage, science and religion both options are rely on the spoken word of the enlightened, emerge out of the fear of man, emerge from the desire of man to worship the forces of nature, employ different methods of inquiry, work at the cross purpose of each other. You have 10 seconds to answer. I hope you've chosen the right one. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 4. Employ different methods of inquiry. And the explanation is in the passage, it is clearly stated that while science and religion both aim to explain different aspects of life and existence, they do so using different methods. Science relies on observation, experimentation, and experience, whereas religion relies on faith, intuition, and a spoken word of the enlightened. This distinction highlights that both institutions function differently in their approaches to understanding the world. Therefore, option 4 is the most accurate answer. What was the object of the authors of the Holy Scriptures? Options are to teach man the methods of worshipping nature, to advocate the progressive and liberal ideas, to educate and raise the human spirit and mind, to develop harmony between external nature and the inner self, and none of the above. You have 10 seconds to answer. I hope you've done so. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 3. To educate and raise the human spirit and mind. And the explanation is in the passage, the author explained that the Holy Scriptures were written by those who sought to develop harmony between external nature and the inner selves. The ultimate aim of this endeavor was to ennoble, elevate, and liberate the human spirit and mind. This reflects the broader goal of educating individuals about their place in the world of encouraging personal and spiritual growth. Thus, option 3 is the most accurate representation of the author's objectives. The next question is according to the passage, science and religion. Options are contrary to each other, have the same origin, are supportive to each other, have the same aim of controlling universe, do not allow any deviation from their rules. I hope you understood the options and you have 10 seconds to answer. I hope you've chosen the right one. Let's move to the correct answer. The correct answer is 3 are supportive to each other. In the passage, the author argues that science and religion are not in conflict but rather complementary. Both aim to explain different aspects of life, the universe, and the human existence. While their methods differ, science relies on observation, experimentation, and religion often involves faith and spiritualism. The passage says that the both contribute to a deeper understanding of life and reality. Therefore, option 3 accurately reflects the passage's assertion that science and religion support and complement each other. I hope you have understood the explanation. So, this is all about this session. Thank you.